A desperate whisper sliced through the hushed elegance of Delmare Bistro, a place where expensive wine and seafood mingled with soft jazz. Outside, the Pomona afternoon sun painted the sky gold, filtering through cream-colored awnings. Inside, among orchids and linen, sat James Palmer. At 34, he was a titan, owner of Palmer Tech, a clean energy innovator, a business genius. But in that moment, he was just a lonely man, his dark green eyes fixed on an untouched lobster risotto, a ritual he maintained twice a week, always alone. Delmare reminded him of his mother, gone too soon, a victim of aggressive cancer when he was just 10. No money, no insurance, just loss. Since then, James had built walls around his heart, becoming cold, pragmatic, expecting nothing and giving even less. But that late afternoon, everything was about to change. Outside the restaurant, a tiny figure, no more than 5 years old, pressed her face against the glass. Kelly, with disheveled blonde hair, sunburned skin, and a faded pink dress, squinted through the reflections. Her stomach ached, but it was fear that truly gnawed at her, fear of returning home empty-handed, fear of finding her mother worse than before. Barefoot, she pushed the heavy glass door, stepping from dust and noise into a world of air conditioning, white tablecloths, and the quiet clinking of glasses. She walked timidly, ignored by everyone, until she stood before James, her big brown eyes fixed on his untouched plate. "Sir, can I take the rest of your food to my mother? She's sick and hungry." James slowly lifted his gaze, the small, trembling voice echoing a memory. For a moment he saw his own mother, recalling a story she told of begging for stale bread at 6 to feed her siblings. That mix of pain and pride in her eyes now mirrored in Kelly's fragile presence. He didn't hesitate. He raised a hand to the approaching waiter. "No," James interrupted. "Bring 2 plates, just like mine now." Leaning toward Kelly, he asked, "Can you take me to your house?" She nodded. James rose, the wrapped plates in hand, and followed the small girl out into the fading light, each step cracking old fractures within him. The walk was short but revealing. They passed dimly lit streets, broken sidewalks, abandoned buildings. The city's shadows seemed to swallow everything until they reached it, a simple, almost collapsing house with peeling blue paint and a creaky gate. Kelly pushed open the door. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of mold, stale medicine, and sickness. On a dingy sofa, a young woman ravaged by exhaustion trembled. She was sweating, groaning softly, her face red, breathing shallow. Fever consumed her. "Mommy, I'm home," Kelly whispered, dropping the food and running to her. James froze. He had never seen anyone so utterly defeated, yet still so profoundly beautiful. This was Rose Miller. Even in her fevered state, she possessed soft features, a delicate face, her hand reaching out weakly for her daughter. "She's been like this since yesterday," Kelly whispered, her fear palpable. "I was afraid she wouldn't wake up." Without a second thought, James pulled out his phone. "Hazel, it's me. I need you on 7th Street. Urgent. I'll send the address. Bring whatever's necessary." 15 minutes later, a white car pulled up. Hazel Harwood, a doctor and James's friend since college, the only person he trusted implicitly, emerged with a first aid kit. "High fever, dehydrated, weak, and this girl has no one else," James stated, urgency lacing his voice. Hazel worked swiftly, administering meds, wiping Rose's face, providing rehydration. "She'll be fine," Hazel confirmed, "but she needs care, food, rest, constant medication." James nodded. "I'll take care of it." Next day, Rose's house was transformed. A new heater hummed quietly. An experienced caretaker named Ellen had been hired for day and night shifts. The fridge and cupboards overflowed with food. Boxes of new clothes arrived, and a soft teddy bear awaited Kelly on her pillow. James observed from a distance, not intruding, but his heart was already deeply involved, though he couldn't yet articulate why. That night, returning home, he found his wife, Denise, on the couch, dressed as if for a phantom party. "So I heard you turned into a fairy tale hero," she purred, a venomous smile playing on her lips. James took a deep breath. "I found a child asking for food. I couldn't turn my back." Denise rose, draped her arms around his neck, her smile sweet, but her eyes held a different, calculating glint, something James, oblivious in that moment, failed to see. Days turned into weeks, and James kept showing up, not just a benefactor, but a presence. Saturdays brought books for Kelly, stories of clumsy dragons and flying girls. Kelly would bounce on the sofa, eagerly awaiting Uncle James. Rose, nearby, listened, sometimes laughing, sometimes just watching, her eyes holding an unspoken gratitude. One night, as Kelly slept in James's lap, Rose whispered, "I never thought I'd see someone hold my daughter like that, as if she were their own blood." James just gently stroked the child's hair, as if touching something sacred. Over simple lunches, Rose shared fragments of her life: a tough childhood, an absent father, a dream of gastronomy shattered by an unexpected pregnancy, temporary jobs, a devastating pneumonia. James listened not with pity but with profound respect. "You are made of steel and flour," he told her, "and I never knew anything like that until now." One afternoon, finding Rose lost in thought on her porch, he asked, "What would living be for you?" She replied, "To walk without fear, buy Kelly's favorite snack, not cry in the kitchen, have time to dream." He sat beside her. "Would you consider working with me?" he asked. Her surprise was clear. A few days later, he made the formal offer, a receptionist position at Palmer Tech headquarters. "It's not much, but it's a start," he said, "and you have everything to grow. I trust you, Rose." After a moment, her restrained but genuine smile surfaced. "I accept." Rose arrived at Palmer Tech before the sun, impeccably dressed, a part of herself re-emerging from the rubble of suffering. The modern, glass-facaded building felt like a new beginning. She greeted the security guard, took her seat at the main revolving door, answering calls, receiving visitors. She felt the curious glances, her quiet dignity and polite demeanor drawing attention. "Are you new?" a friendly colleague, Carol, asked. "Yes, Rose Martins. Welcome," Carol replied. "I admire those who can work with a smile in here. It's a Cold War with air conditioning." They laughed. Rose, discreet and punctual, became a respected part of the company. James offered polite nods in passing, keeping things strictly professional. But someone was watching, someone who refused to accept this new development. Denise arrived one Tuesday, dressed sharply, red lipstick a warning, her expensive bag a shield. Rose, at the reception desk, froze internally but remained outwardly calm. "Good morning," Rose said politely. Denise stopped, eyes fixed on Rose, a sharp smile on her face. "I came to bring my husband's lunch," she stated with calculated emphasis. "Good to see you here." Rose offered a slight smile. "How kind of you, he'll be happy." "Yes, that's just how I am," Denise retorted. "Kind to those who deserve it." With a final, piercing look, she swept past. From that moment, the game was on. Denise's visits became frequent, each bringing a new accessory and a new veiled insult. "Oh, that dress is interesting. Vintage. It's good to recycle, right? I donated some clothes like that last week." Rose's reply was always polite, firm. "Good that you like to donate. I hope those who received them were as happy as I am with what I have." Denise's comments escalated. "So admirable to see someone picking themselves up, even with limitations. You're strong." "It must be hard to raise a daughter alone. I could never do it." "James has a huge heart. He helps those in need, right?" Rose never attacked, never shrunk, never gave a taste of submission, and it infuriated Denise. Then came the anonymous letter to the legal department accusing Rose of stealing office supplies. A ridiculous exaggeration, but protocol demanded an investigation. Rose was called in. "This is absurd," she stated. "I never took anything." "We have records, emails, footage," a lawyer said coldly. Rose left, trembling, found by Carol in the break room. "I heard," Carol said. "Do you think it was someone here?" Rose met Carol's eyes. "I think it was someone who doesn't want to see me here." Carol's frown deepened. "Denise." Rose just lowered her gaze. "Then let's find out," Carol vowed. In the days that followed, Carol worked tirelessly, leveraging IT contacts, security staff, meticulously tracing emails and system access. Slowly, the insidious web unraveled. Emails from Denise's IP address, login to the administrative system, fake documents planted in a forgotten folder on Rose's computer, all orchestrated with chilling precision. When the damning dossier landed on James's desk, he leafed through the evidence, his hands trembling. With each page, his face hardened, transforming into a mask of pure fury. He called Denise. She arrived smiling. "Wow, new office. You keep climbing ranks and improving your taste, huh?" He didn't answer. He just lifted his eyes. Did you do this?" Denise's eyes widened, but she dropped the pretense quickly. "Oh, please, James, I only did what any wife would do, seeing her husband being swallowed by an opportunist." James's voice rose, his mask falling. "You planted false evidence, Denise, accused an innocent woman of theft. You compromised my company, my name, the safety of an employee." She screamed back, "You're blind. That woman is poisoning you. She made your daughter like her. Now she wants to trap you too." "Enough," James roared, standing. "I respected you for years, Denise, endured your coldness, your arrogance, your contempt for everything I felt, but this crossed all lines. You will answer for this. You'll abandon me for some nobody," she shrieked, "for an honest woman who doesn't need to step on anyone to be seen, for someone who, even humiliated by you, never lost her dignity." She stared at him with pure hatred. "So it's over." He took a deep, steady breath. "It's over, and you will pay for what you did to Rose, legally, morally, publicly, if necessary." She stormed out, her heels clicking on the marble floor, the sound echoing like a definitive end. The next day, Rose was called in again, but this time to hear an official apology. Her name was cleared, and then came the announcement, a promotion to reception coordinator. James congratulated her from afar, respecting her space. But that evening, as she organized her new desk, he appeared with a simple bouquet, daisies and sunflowers. "They're for Kelly," he said softly, "but I wanted you to know there are people who see who you really are." She smiled, a full, genuine smile, because now, finally, she was seen. The divorce was an earthquake, shaking James's life for months. Screams, accusations, threats, and a Denise growing increasingly unhinged. She didn't just want half his assets, she wanted control, his prized luxury car, and above all his peace, something she could never truly possess. But her world began to crumble when the documents about her attempt to incriminate Rose reached the public prosecutor's office. Palmer Tech's internal investigation became a whispered scandal in the business sector. Her lawyers tried to shield her, but the truth stubbornly leaked out. "You can't leave me like this," she screamed during the hearings. "I was with you for years. You were by my side, but never with me, Denise," James replied, his voice calm, yet carrying an exhaustion and firmness she could never break. He didn't want war, just distance. He refused to file a defamation suit, knowing sinking into that mud would mean more years of torment. In the months that followed, James reinvented his routine. He grew closer to Rose and Kelly. He picked up and dropped off Kelly at school whenever he could, started going to the children's library with her every Wednesday, where she chose books with shiny covers and stories about girls who could fly. "Uncle James, why does the sun fairy have a wand made of sunlight?" Kelly asked one night. "Maybe because she needs to light up the world when everything is dark," he answered, stroking her hair. "Just like you do when I'm sad," James smiled, touched. "Just like you do with me, little one." But it wasn't only Kelly who brought light. At Palmer Tech, Rose grew in prestige without needing a promotion. Her presence alone made her a role model. She was the first to arrive, the last to leave. She knew every intern's name, asked about their mothers, remembered birthdays, organized simple breakroom parties, even created manual spreadsheets to make the HR team's life easier. "Are you sure you don't want to become the internal communications manager?" Carol asked during a rushed lunch. "For now, I prefer to stay where I am," Rose replied. "I still find myself among papers and visitors' smiles." "You're crazy," Carol chuckled, but an admirable kind of crazy. Even senior directors knew her by name. "Ask Rose," they'd say, "she knows how to solve this." Or, "Has Rose seen this? If not, better wait." And James, though he didn't show it publicly, felt more at ease knowing Rose was there. There was something about her that anchored the environment, her calm voice and integrity reordering the chaos around her. One Friday night, a storm broke over the city, rain falling thick, thunder hammering on the glass windows of Palmer Tech. Most employees had left. James was still there, working on a delayed report, when a message from Denise flashed on his phone. "You'll regret all of this." Just that. Cold, no name, no period, a pure threat hanging in the air. He slammed his laptop shut and went down to the garage, sitting in his car, unable to start it. He bowed his head, hands pressed to his face. He was tired, exhausted from the fight, the war, the feeling that living was always being on alert. Then light footsteps, a gentle tap on the window. He looked up, surprised. It was Rose, her umbrella closed, hair a little wet, a worried look in her eyes. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. He opened the door slowly, the rain still drumming on the roof. "Just one of those days when silence weighs heavier than noise," he murmured, unable to hide the vulnerability. Rose didn't answer immediately. She just stood there watching him closely, like someone recognizing a fatigue that went beyond the physical. "Kelly and I are going to have a picnic on Sunday at EP Park," she said, a shy smile gracing her lips. "Nothing fancy, just laughter. You should come with us. It will do you good." He hesitated, his first impulse to refuse, to shrink back further, but there was something in her offer, a rare kindness, an invitation to normality. "I'll come," he finally replied. It was the first time in months his voice sounded light. Sunday dawned with a clear sky defying the forecast. At EP Park, trees stood like green sentinels, the grass fresh with recent rain. Rose arrived with a wicker basket of cheese breads, orange juice, and homemade carrot cake. Kelly ran ahead, a checkered cloth fluttering from her arms like a superhero cape. James was already there, leaning against a tree, wearing dark jeans and a gray t-shirt. When he saw them, his face lit up with a rare smile, not polite, but born from deep within. "I brought reinforcements," Rose said, lifting the basket, "but nothing gourmet." "Okay, better that way," James replied, a light laugh escaping him. "My stomach is tired of fancy food and empty soul." They sat under the shade. Kelly, excited, built towers with pieces of cheese bread. "She seems happy," James observed, watching the girl. "She is happy," Rose corrected, placing a hand lightly on his arm. "Because she has you nearby. Don't underestimate what that does for a child." James looked away, moved. "I just wish I could give her a world without cracks." "Sometimes," Rose said, her touch lingering, "the cracks let the light in." He looked at her, surprised by the phrase, the tenderness of the gesture, the discreet warmth of that touch. Kelly, of course, interrupted, her hands smeared with cake, a carrot-orange smile. "Uncle James, can I build a fort with those branches over there?" "Sure, princess, just watch out for the ants," James answered, laughing freely. As the girl ran off, Rose and James remained in comfortable silence, the quiet understanding of two adults who knew each other's pain, yet were still there, whole human. The picnic became a cherished habit every first Sunday of the month. James began to smile more often, to laugh without apologizing, and to listen to old songs again, Sinatra especially. At the company, rumors started again, not about Denise's sabotage, but about the different sparkle in James's eyes every time he passed by Rose, about how Rose seemed to dress more carefully on Fridays. About how one afternoon he stood watching her through the glass door as she taught an intern how to set up the printer. But neither he nor she spoke about it, not yet, because they both knew. Some things bloom at the right time, like flowers that only blossom after the storm. And theirs, perhaps, was just beginning to bud, a new story written not in dramatic flair, but in the quiet, comforting light of a Sunday afternoon in the park.